What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG TCG video. Today, guys, we are going to be going over the new Amazonas cards that are set to release in Animation Chronicles 2022. Very excited to be discussing these cards with you guys, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the first card that we're going to be discussing is Amazonas Audience Room, or for the TCG version, Amazonas Hall. It's a continuous trap card with the effect of you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. When this card resolves, you can add one Amazonas monster from your graveyard or face-up extra deck to your hand, or if it's a pendulum monster, you can place it in your pendulum zone instead. If your opponent special summons a monster and you control an Amazonas monster card, you can target one of those monsters, gain life points equal to its attack. So this is a pretty interesting card. So the effect to be able to add an Amazonas monster from your graveyard and be able to put it in your hand, or if it's the case of an extra deck monster, you can actually put it back into your extra deck, is pretty nice. And if you decide to choose a pendulum monster that's in your graveyard, to be able to immediately set it in your pendulum zone, so that way you can use its pendulum effects, and you're going to be able to pendulum summon, because now you have one of your cards set in the scale, and if you have another one, boom, you have your scale set, you can go and do your pendulum summon. So that's really nice. Does kind of suck that it's now locked behind a trap. That's the only thing I will say that's negative about that first effect, is that I feel like that fits more with a spell card and not a trap. But I guess you can maybe make it work. I don't know. I just feel like that probably should have been a continuous spell instead of a continuous trap. And the second effect, to be able to gain life points, is pretty cool as well. So when your opponent special summons one of their big boss monsters, you can just gain a whole bunch of life points, which is pretty nice. It's a hard once per turn, so you just can't continuously activate this to keep gaining life points. So you just gotta time it when your opponent summons a big boss monster, so that way you get the most benefit out of it. But besides that, it's not a bad card. I guess with the second effect too, you do have to have an Amazonas monster card, but you're playing this in an Amazonas deck anyway, so more than likely you'll have a monster on the field, so that way it will work. So it's not really that big of a deal. So overall, honestly, not a bad card in my opinion. I do wish, though, it was a continuous spell card. I think that would have made this card a lot better in my opinion, just because of the fact that you could have just been able to activate it immediately instead of having to basically set this card, and then the only time that you can use it during your turn is during your next turn after you set this card. So that's the only real downside to this, that I feel like it should have been a spell card instead of a trap card. But with that being said, let's jump into our next and final card for this video, which is Amazonas Secret Hot Spring, or for the TCG version, Amazonas Hot Spring. I guess for some reason they decided that they needed to take secret out of it. Who really knows? It's a continuous trap card with the effect of you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. When this card resolves, you can add one Amazonas monster from your deck to your hand, or if it's a pendulum monster, you can place it in your pendulum zone instead. When you take battle damage and you control an Amazonas monster card, you gain life points equal to the damage you took. So this card is very similar to the last card we discussed. The first effect is basically the same, except it doesn't target monsters in the graveyard. It targets monsters in your deck, and you're able to basically add them to your hand, or in the same case with the pendulum monster, you could just set it immediately to your zone, so that way you can start getting your pendulum effects going, and you have one of your monsters in your scale. And if you already activated Hall, guess what? You're going to now have your two pendulum monsters in your pendulum zones, so that way you can pendulum summon. So that's cool. But again, the same problem from the last card. This just does not fit with a trap card. This should have been a spell card if it's going to have a search effect like this, especially with this card, because it's searching cards from your deck and adding them to your hand. Like, this should have 100% been a continuous spell card. But going into the second effect, to basically be able to gain back the life points that you took from battle one time is pretty cool as well. So if your opponent is going for lethal and you activate this card's effect, you can basically take one of the bigger blows from your opponent, or just one of the blows from your opponent, so that way you'll be able to survive from the battle. Would have been nice if you wouldn't have just been able to negate the damage entirely, but I guess because it's a continuous trap, that would have been a little too good, so I don't really necessarily mind that either. But again, pretty cool card, but it has the same issues as Amazonas Hall, where I feel like this card should have probably been a spell card instead of a trap card. I think that would have helped it a lot, and I think it would make it a lot better, in my opinion. But overall, it's still not a bad card, in my opinion. But with that being said, that's going to be it for the new Amazonas support. General thoughts on it. I don't think it's bad support at all. The biggest issue that I do have with these cards is that I feel like they would have been a lot better if they were spell cards. Now, obviously, they were trap cards in the anime when Grace and Gloria used them against Yugioh and Shun Kurosaki. So, obviously, they wanted to keep to that theme of them still being trap cards. But that doesn't mean that I still don't think that they shouldn't have been spell cards. I just feel like, especially with the first effect of both cards, I just feel like they fit better as effects for a spell card instead of a trap card. The second effects, I do see it both ways, but definitely with the first effects, I feel like that should be on a spell card and not a trap card, because in order to really get the best benefit out of these cards, you're gonna have to basically set these cards during your turn, and then you can activate it during your opponent's turn, or just wait until like your end phase or something like that, add the cards to your hand, and then you can combo off. But that's the issue with these cards. You would expect, this effect, like for Hot Spring, where you can add an Amazonas monster from your deck to your hand, you would like to be able to use that card as soon as humanly possible, right? Nope, because you're gonna have to set these cards, which luckily, if I remember correctly, Duelist of Pyroxene had an Amazonas monster that was released that helped you be able to search for Amazonas spell and trap cards. So it's not like it's gonna be hard to get these cards in your hand, but you have to set them in order to really be able to use them, because they're trap cards. And that's the issue with them, is that they're just a little too slow because of the fact that they're trap cards. But in my opinion, if you're able to basically get past that limitation, honestly, I could see these cards being played in Amazonas deck. I mean, being able to just get Amazonas monsters to your hand so that way you can combo off is super, super nice. I would probably say Hot Spring is probably the better one, because getting cards from your deck to your hand is a lot better than getting cards from your graveyard to your hand. Not saying it's bad, but that's just more kind of towards like mid-late game, when you're trying to basically combo off for one last time going into your final big boss monster and just needing that little extra push. But overall, in my opinion, not bad cards. Do believe they should have been spell cards, would have made them a lot better, but I don't really think they're bad cards in my opinion. But with that being said, that's going to be it for this OCG TCG video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the new Amazonas support. Did you think the support was good support, okay support, or did you think the support was not really good at all? And I don't know, let me know your guys' thoughts on which Amazonas trap card had the better artwork. Did you prefer Amazonas Hall's artwork, or did you prefer Amazonas Hot Springs artwork? Didn't really know what else to ask at the end of the video, so there you go. There's your question for the end of the video. Which artwork do you prefer? Me personally, Amazonas Hot Spring all the way. But with that being said, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.